Today we will learn about 4 important parables of Jesus that teach us about money and possessions. These stories reflect the world we live in, where people often value wealth over spiritual riches. They forget that every intention is known by a power far greater than themselves. Have you ever chased material wealth so hard that you forgot what truly matters? What happens when the desire for earthly riches outweighs obedience to God? These are the parables of Jesus about money, teaching us lessons of stewardship, generosity, and the true meaning of wealth in God's kingdom. Disclaimer: the following is based on biblical accounts and interpretations. It was a time when Jesus traveled throughout Galilee, teaching in synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom. Large crowds followed him, eager to hear his wisdom. Jesus often spoke in parables, using everyday examples to convey profound spiritual truths. The first parable we'll explore is the parable of the rich fool. Jesus told this story to warn against greed and the false security of earthly possessions. There was a rich man whose land produced abundantly. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" Jesus concluded, "This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God." This parable teaches us that true wealth is not measured by earthly possessions, but by our relationship with God and how we use our resources to serve others. The second parable is the parable of the talents. This story illustrates the importance of stewardship and using our God-given abilities wisely. A man going on a journey called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The servant who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more. The one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master returned and settled accounts with them. The servants who had invested the money were praised and rewarded, while the one who had hidden it was called wicked and lazy, and his talent was taken away. This parable reminds us that God expects us to use our talents, abilities, and resources wisely and productively, not to hide them away out of fear or laziness. The third parable we'll examine is the parable of the shrewd manager. This story, while seemingly controversial, teaches us about using worldly wealth wisely. There was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. He called him in and asked, "What is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management, because you cannot be manager any longer." The manager thought to himself, "What shall I do now? My master is taking away my job. I'm not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg." So he decided to reduce the debts of his master's debtors, hoping to secure favor with them for when he lost his job. The master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. Jesus concluded, "I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings." This parable, while not condoning dishonesty, teaches us to use our resources wisely and strategically, with an eye toward eternal rewards rather than temporary earthly gain. The fourth and final parable we'll explore is the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. This powerful story illustrates the dangers of neglecting the poor and the eternal consequences of our earthly choices. There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores, and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. The time came when both men died. Lazarus was carried by the angels to Abraham's side, while the rich man found himself in Hades in torment. He called out, "Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire." But Abraham replied, "Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things, but now he is comforted here, and you are in agony." This parable serves as a stark reminder that our treatment of others, especially the less fortunate, has eternal implications. It challenges us to use our wealth and resources to help those in need, rather than living in selfish luxury. These four parables of Jesus about money teach us valuable lessons that are still relevant today. They remind us that true wealth is not measured by earthly possessions, but by our relationship with God and how we use our resources to serve others. In a world obsessed with material wealth and status, these stories challenge us to reconsider our priorities. They ask us to examine our hearts and motivations when it comes to money and possessions. Are we like the rich fool, storing up treasures for ourselves but neglecting our spiritual wealth? Or are we using our talents wisely, investing in eternal rewards rather than temporary earthly gain? Do we use our resources shrewdly, with an eye toward building relationships and furthering God's kingdom? Or are we like the rich man who ignored Lazarus, blind to the needs of those around us? These parables remind us that everything we have is ultimately a gift from God, entrusted to us for a purpose. We are called to be good stewards, using our resources wisely and generously to serve others and glorify God. They challenge us to live with an eternal perspective, recognizing that our earthly wealth is temporary, but the impact of our choices can last forever. As we reflect on these teachings of Jesus, let us examine our own attitudes toward money and possessions. Are we holding too tightly to our earthly wealth? Are we using our resources in ways that honor God and serve others? Let us strive to be rich toward God, using our talents and resources wisely, generously, and with an eye toward eternity. May we seek true wealth, not in earthly possessions, but in our relationship with God and our love for others. For in the end, it's not about how much we have, but how we use what we've been given. It's about recognizing that everything we have is a gift from God, entrusted to us for a greater purpose. As we go forth, may we carry these lessons with us, allowing them to shape our attitudes and actions. May we use our resources wisely, generously, and in ways that bring glory to God and blessings to others. For in doing so, we store up for ourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where our treasure is, there our heart will be also.